Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this webinar series organized by the Family Apostolate of St. John dal Bastone Church, Pelawatte, headed by our parish priest, Reverend Dr. Anthony Fernaopulle, warmly welcomes you to our monthly webinar. Before we get going, let me introduce our panel organizing this webinar. Mr. Manon Pereira, who is a professional engineer, and he's the coordinator of the Family Apostolate branches of the Colombo Deanery, who will take the question and answer sessions at the end of this talk. And let me introduce Mr. Errol Johnson, who does our professional media person and a professional photographer. And nothing is complete without our main speaker today. We have Mr. Asiri Fernaopulle and his lovely wife, Diamali. They are our resource couple today. So let me say a few words about Asiri and Diamali. Asiri and Diamali have been married for 38 years, and they have been blessed with 3 lovely children, Ashan, Rangi, and Trevin. And they are grandparents as well, having their first grandson, Raphael. So, Asiri and Diamali's contribution to the Family Apostolate and to the family ministry has been there for the past 30 years, starting from the Diocese of Chilau with marriage encounter, and with the Colombo Deanery, working with the Family Apostolate and organizing all the pre-Cana lectures and the post-Cana sessions. So, Asiri is an engineer by profession, and Diamali is a wonderful cake maker. She makes one of the best wedding cakes. So let me introduce them to talk to you on today's topic, coping with in-laws in marriage. So over to you, Asiri and Diamali.
Thank you, Nilal.
Thank you, Dr. Nilal. Good evening, everybody, the listeners. We have got a very good topic to speak on. As Dr. Nilal said, coping with in-laws in marriage. So when it comes to marriage, you know, there are 2 parties coming together. Who are these 2 parties?
Son-in-law, daughter-in-law, father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and all the others connected to them. It is not that difficult to handle them if we associate them with a mutual understanding. You can have a pleasant and a manageable encounter with the in-laws in marriage if you deal them, as I told you just now, if you deal them with a mutual understanding.
So, in-laws, when you say in-laws, the 2 parties coming together, so you can have a wonderful relationship. And your communication with them will bring you happiness. But at the same time, a according to the present statistics, today's statistics, interference of in-laws is a considerable factor for the unhappy marriages and sometimes even separations and divorces. So we are concerned about this grave scenario. Hence we selected, and this family apostle selected to talk to you all about how to coping with in-laws in the marriage. Let us see how Catholic Church comes in to help us from their messages through Bible.
In Genesis 2:24, it says, that's why a man leaves his mother and father and is united with his wife, and they become one.
So marriage is the birth of an independent family. You all know that. Family is the smallest unit of the society. So if family is good, family is happy, the society should be happy. So this independency in the marriage has to be respected by all around and all the others around you.
Marriage is the deepest and the happiest relationship in the world. What are our dreams in life? We all seek happiness. We do everything to be happy.
So main effective factors for happiness. So when you say main effective happiness, it should be husband and wife must come first. So let's continue. Main effective factors for happiness in the marriage. Definitely husband and wife's relationship. Then comes bringing up children, relationship in-laws, then the social life. With all this spirituality has to be there for you to be happy.
As parents, what are our dreams? What are our aims? Our dream is to see our children doing well in life, especially in their marriage. As a parent, we have to work and support the children to be happy in their marriages. As a couple, what are we dreaming? It should be in our marriage. The couple has to work hard towards this happiness. Together, they can do everything. The happiness is there when a couple is together and work towards one goal.
So when you say together, couple together must be there to go ahead.
All of us live either in a nuclear family or in an extended family. A nuclear family is the husband, wife, and children living together. An extended family is husband, wife, children, parents, husbands or wives' siblings, uncles, aunts, whoever live together is called an extended family.
In an extended family, you have more dealings with in-laws than in a nuclear family. because there are more members. It is advisable for the new family to live separately, at least in their early stages, as a nuclear family wherever possible, at the early stages. But frequent interferences of the in-laws, even in a nuclear family, can make things difficult for the couple. That is the experience, and that is the statistics we have from the society. Therefore, we will go on to see why these differences or interferences will affect the marriage or these couples. A few areas where the tendencies are there for the in-laws to get involved are, as usual, attitudes and culture, wealth, social status, caste and religion, even education, and the generation gaps, so and so forth. These can lead to disputes and displeasure if not handled properly.
Generation.
When you say generation gap, you know, our generation and the previous generation, we have a very good experience because our children too are married and one is with us. If you put in the simple form, they indicate that they know better. Yes.
Yes, of course, in some areas they know better, like the computer, then the media. So we too get their help when we are stuck somewhere. But just see how they act and behave. Their behavior that is totally different. And the music, the music that they listen, it's different. The way they wear, the way they dress, the hairstyles.
That's good.
Girls with all the hair with multicolors, boys with ear studs, girls and boys with tattoos. So the gender, I'm not telling it is wrong. It is very good. You have to go with the trend. That's nice. Nice to see young children like that. The thing is, we feel it because we have a generation gap.
So when you, all these gaps, and then the son-in-law or daughter-in-law, the other siblings coming to the situation, to the scene. With all this, with the generation gap, with others who are connected to the marriages, there are conflicting areas. Let's see what are these main conflicting areas. Sometimes comparison of differences in social status, discrimination of caste and religion, unacceptable behavior sometimes, displeasure among in-laws over dividing wealth, influence from family of origin. When you say family of origin, if you take me, I have got some good habits from our family of origin, and all some are bad or not acceptable sometimes. For example, my father was one who gets angry very fast, quick anger. I too have that. So that is coming from family of origin. So after getting married only, Diamali gets to know the in-laws. Sometimes they think our daughter or our sister has gotten married to a man like a devil. When I am angry, it's like that. So in these areas, they can comment or put their fingers in for damaging the relationship. So we have to be careful. That is why we are reminding about these conflicting areas. Yeah. So comparison of differences in social status. You know, we are professionals sometimes, we are entrepreneurs, carpenters, so on and so forth. Our different people in the society. I can remember there was a family. There are two girls. Their father, they got married, two sons-in-law. Father is a very jovial and also a man who entertains and who is in a social man. So during their parties or their functions, father-in-laws waiting to introduce the second one is a professional, a well-qualified man. He waits and introduces the second son-in-law. This is my son-in-law, qualifications, and he is doing this job and professionals and all that. So this was going on, very good. But without knowing the second son-in-law, eldest son is eldest one got offended. Why? He felt like he was cornered. He was not introduced like his their younger brother-in-law, son-in-law. So there was a dispute. Sometimes he avoided coming for father-in-law's functions. So this is something which is not good in us inside the family. And then come to, if you take incidents of discrimination of caste and religion.
Yes. I know a boy, a Catholic, got married, wanted to get married to a Buddhist girl from a very strong Buddhist family. Both families were dead against about this marriage. But the boy and the girl, they were going out for a long time. They were happy about each one and they insisted they should get married. Okay, the two families decided, let us have a church wedding as well as a Porvo ceremony. Agreed. And then first was the church wedding. The bride's party couldn't come to the church. They were not happy to come to the church, but all were there for the Porvo ceremony. They got married and started their life with the mother-in-law, being the boy being the only son in the family. They were happy together. Mother-in-law, the girl is very beautiful. Mother-in-law was very happy and proud to go to attend the Sunday Mass with the couple, son, wife, and the mother-in-law. Yeah, the mother, son, and the daughter-in-law went to church at the initial days. But later, she didn't like to go to church much because she was not brought up with that background. She refused to go. That was the first incident. And then time to time, there were displeasure among the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. The mother-in-law was not ready to accept the girl from where she has come, from the place from where they have come, the family, nothing was acceptable. But just because to make the son happy, she said okay for the marriage. And then time to time, the daughter-in-law felt that the mother-in-law is not treating her the way that she was treating her soon after the marriage. It was going on like that. There was displeasure among the two of them. Mother-in-law was like trying to teach the daughter the way she was doing things to her own son, like advising, which the daughter-in-law didn't like much. Daughter-in-law started hating the mother-in-law. She just ignored the mother-in-law. But the husband stood by the wife all the time. So it was going on like that. And then after a few years, the girl was pregnant. The mother-in-law was so happy about this. And then she started having sympathy on the girl at the early stages of her pregnancy. She supported her to do her day-to-day work with her husband. It was going on After the new arrival, a baby girl, the whole thing was totally changed. Mother-in-law loved the granddaughter so much. Because of that love, she was helping the daughter-in-law to do everything. She was making the daughter-in-law very comfortable, doing all the work at home without showing that she's tired, or without showing. Some days she was breaking rest with the granddaughter. It was going on. Then the daughter-in-law started realizing the good side of the mother-in-law. She was appreciating what the mother was doing. So with all these changes, mother-in-law changed first, and then gradually the daughter-in-law was changing, and there was unity among them in the family. The son-in-law too was having peace of mind when he saw the mother and the wife getting on well.
So you can see, even when you start in from very far ends, because of some reason, so the child came as the link to bring them together. Likewise, if we have faith, there is the third party who is all above will definitely will be definitely help us to bridge this gap. Yes. And sometimes, due to so many reasons, there can be displeasures among the in-laws. What are these displeasures? There can be so many.
Yeah, we will talk about the displeasure between in-laws due to dividing the wealth. It is very common in this part of the world. All of you would have experienced some sort of a incident like this. There was a family, when they were looking for a bride for the girl, the parents promised a property as dowry. So the marriage took place, they got married, they found a good professional from a rich family, and they were happy about it and gave her in marriage. The daughter and husband moved out, and then they started their life of their own. And the time was passing, they had children, and after 20 years, when these daughter's eldest son was they wanted to send their son overseas for higher studies, the husband reminded the wife about the promised property. The wife was reluctant to go and ask it from her parents, but the son-in-law went and asked for the land which was promised at the time of the marriage. By that time, the parents have thought that they don't need this promised property. They have given it to their second son who was unemployed.
Promise.
It was promised to give him. So then the son-in-law requested, either you give the property or cash to the equivalent of the property. But the son who was occupying the land, he was making a big fuss to give the land, and also there was a huge conflict between the two brothers-in-law. At that time, after 20 years, the couple who promised, the parents of the girl who promised the property, was aging and they were very feeble. It was not a time for them to talk to the son who they have promised the land, and then the son was reasoning out many things, and he didn't want to give the land back to the sister. There was displeasure among the siblings, and also it was too late for the parents. They were regretting for what they have done. And then anyway, it came to such a bad situation. The son-in-law, even at the time of the funeral of the father-in-law, the son-in-law refused to attend the funeral. He has to be forcefully taken. So many friends had to go, console him, and then he just went just to please his good friends. So these things can happen if you don't do things mindfully. Parents, be mindful when you divide your wealth among the children. Think well and then act. The life is short, time is fast. So think well and do accordingly, so that your children will have unity among them.
So therefore, you can see we can give you so many incidents like this which have brought disrepute and displeasure within in-laws and these families. To refrain or know what to do about these things. So there must be a solution for this. Solution sometimes as human, when we get together, even Diamali and I sometimes confront problems which we can't see any solution to this as far as we can't see. Then what happens? We turn to God, we give time, we together pray and await. Definitely if we have faith, it happens. So we are lucky. Why? So guidance of resolutions is there for us. From where? From where?
From the Bible.
Be prepared to face these differences wisely. So for the resolutions, what will help is love, patience, acceptance, listening, forgiving. These good qualities, if you can inculcate in you, I can say you will never go into disputes. But as human being, time to time, we divert from these things. To come back, we always get guidance from Bible. So let's quote one important quotation from the Bible, Corinthians 13:4-8.
It says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong things. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects. It always trusts, always hopes, always preserves.
So it very clearly gives you a good guideline how you should act when you are in trouble. If you have love, when you get married, the love comes. Without love, you can't get married. If the love is there, these are the characteristics of love. Love is patient. If you have love, you can accept even the difficult things. If somebody is coming to annoy you, even pass hints, all those things can be tolerated if you have love and sympathy. You must be a good listener. You must be able to forgive. All this you can do if you are ready for that. As I repeat, as human beings, when we are weak, you must keep your Bible beside you time to time, at least every day. It's a good practice if you can read it, which will encourage you. It will help you to come out of day-to-day difficulties, especially when it comes to these relationships. It will vastly help you. So going on further, resolutions, again, quote again from Mark 10. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. What happens if this is God says no one should separate. We say you become one in marriage. If anybody tries to break this, they will be punished. Or if you put it in a soft form, you can't see punishment, but in-laws, maybe in-laws, friends, or whoever comes in between you is against God's will. Together, then no one separate. At the same time, you can use small things to bring these ones together who are falling apart.
Yeah. Haven't we heard this quotation? We have. Many times we have heard this. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. We have heard. But haven't we heard many problems among mothers-in-law, daughters-in-law? Even after knowing this, we do mistakes. Unconsciously, we do things to hurt our daughter-in-law. Unconsciously, the daughters-in-law do things to hurt mothers-in-law. This is happening in the world. We have heard it many times. We know many stories about the conflicts between the mother-in-law and daughters-in-law. We have heard. Just think if the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law are both having a character as a dominator. If both are dominating and trying to dominate, what is the situation? Definitely, eternally there will be problems within them, for sure, I know. What have we got to do this? And then just see, if a mother-in-law is trying to be over possessive of her son, what will happen? Definitely, she is damaging the relationship between the son and the daughter-in-law. Unconsciously it happens. Sometimes mothers-in-law treat the son the way that she treated before he gets married. She continues it. It's easy for us to tell.
Ignoring, yeah.
It is easy for us to tell for the mothers just to leave the son only for the wife to handle. But as human, as weak humans, we fall into that. We try to call them, we try to advise them. Sometimes without the daughter-in-law, we would like to treat the son. We make special dishes. Sometimes we make a soup and ask, you can have it. Not for the daughter-in-law, only for the son-in-law. Even if they live separately, she calls and tells, something is ready for you. I have made the way you like it. Come and enjoy it. It happens. But you don't know the damage that you are making in that relationship. Definitely, daughter-in-law will feel it, and then there will be displeasure among the two, and also definitely the daughter-in-law will have something against the mother-in-law who is doing that. So just see, there are some nice ways, resolutions. We are talking how to get over these problems. There are special days of your mother-in-law, like birthday, Mother's Day, her anniversary. So when on days like that, I know you all give gifts. So you can put a special note in that, showing,
like this note.
Appreciating her value. Just see the note what we have given. This is written by a daughter-in-law. Dear mother-in-law, you are different than my mom, but similar in one way. The great love you have for your son and your family. Thank you for bringing my husband into this world. How nice is it? If all of us can do things like this, the world will be happy. The relationship will be happy. So we'll try to do something different. If we want to get over these problems, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, son-in-law, all these in-law problems, we can take a step ahead. We can take a decision.
This kind of, yes.
Yeah, even if there are grudges among the in-laws, we can just forgive them, forget about them, and then do something like something special.
So if you get used to this kind of small gimmicks to get closer when you are falling apart, there is anger, or if you are not good terms with your in-law, you are not happy. But everybody like to be happy. So make use of this kind of small methods to get closer. So if you take as parents, avoid complaining about the daughter-in-law, especially we are talking to mothers-in-law. Avoid complaining about the daughter-in-law to the son, about the son to the daughter-in-law. That is happening sometimes. It is not a good practice to talk to your son in isolation after he comes from work or wherever. It's not good. If you want to say something to your son, see that you tell in front of your daughter-in-law, both. Again, going back, because we are one. Even the mother-in-law, father-in-law, whoever, in-laws must respect the great term. They are one. So you can't do anything in isolation. We can bring conflicts within the couple. So you have to refrain from doing it in isolation.
Just see this picture, what we have given in the slide. Can you remember the story, the example I took about the two people getting together from two religions? In that, when the daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law were confronting and also having arguments, showing the displeasure to each other, the son was in between. He was caught in between and he was suffering. But even the mother, see in the picture, the mother is shouting at the daughter-in-law, but he can't see the suffering of the son. Same way, daughter-in-law is also attacking the mother-in-law. She too can't see her husband suffering. So if there is a conflict between you and your mother-in-law, or the son-in-law and the mother-in-law, whoever, the one who is in between will be your daughter or your son for sure.
So continuing as parents, there are more responsibilities with parents, because as parents, we or you, as parents, we are matured than these young couples. Therefore, we have to take the initiative to refrain from getting into them unnecessarily. They may do mistakes. We, as parents, you tend to shout something. No. When they do mistakes, try to be kind. Like I said, I am a man who gets angry always. So when I see something even in my daughter-in-law, I can shout, but think twice. Because we have, as a couple, you can do that. She take the initiative when I am angry. So likewise, all the couples can do it to minimize the damages that's happening as parents. And the other thing is, don't suspect your daughter-in-law unnecessarily. Sometimes these days, if the daughter-in-law was dropped by the office people or somebody drops and go, mother-in-law can see. When the son comes, he says, You must be careful. One guy is coming and dropping your son, daughter,
Sorry, your wife.
your wife. So these things can ignite and for a disaster. So as parents, we have to be careful. Forgive them unconditionally. There can be mistakes over and over again.
Yeah, when the sons-in-law go out with their friends, maybe classmates, office fellows, they can go out for a drink or something. And then the mother-in-law or the mother used to scold the daughter, don't send him out. Be careful. Give him, tell him not to go out at night. And then without knowing, unknowingly, unconsciously, they label the person as a drunkard or a gay boy just because he's going out with friends. So that is a very harmful thing to the relationship of your daughter, or of your son. Can we forgive them even if they have done something wrong? Yes. We as mature parents should be able to forgive our children even if they have done something wrong. It is the sign of the kingdom of God, forgiving. So, and the other thing is, if ever there is a problem, you have to refrain from discussing it from others.
Yes, especially if you go on coming across, you must refrain from discussing your family problems with outsiders, because outsiders, there are counselors. If you can go, proper counselors in the family apostolate you have. But what happens is, if you go outside, outsiders will come forward to, we can do, I can sort this out. I can, oh, why should you tolerate? Let him go. Things like that happen. So that is damaging. So you must not discuss these problems with outsiders. So as a couple, there are things, as a young couple or a mature couple, there are things that you should do, we should do. So do justice to both your parental parties, to both sides. Remember their sacrifices. Now we remember our sacrifices, but when we were young, sometimes we didn't realize. But it is the correct time to realize and take action to look after your parents, in-laws, father-in-law, mother-in-law. Have sympathy for their sacrifices.
Pardon them even if they have done something wrong. Sometimes they would have said something to hurt you. Maybe they would have thought that it is an advice to you, but you have taken it in a wrong way. So if something like that has happened, try to pardon them. And sometimes maybe your parents are very old. They are forgetful now. They talk the same thing over and over again. And then sometimes maybe that they are not falling asleep at night through fear. Be with them, be kind to them. And also don't treat it as a burden. Always remember, they broke crest when you were an infant. And now it's time for you to do for your parents. Do it happily. Do it with your spouse. You and your spouse are not two, you are one. So whatever happens to your mother or your mother-in-law, treat it the same way.
So these conflicts, and like this, there are so many other conflicts coming in your way due to so many reasons. We are talking about in-laws. So when you talking about in-laws, what is the famous conflict you are coming across? Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law conflicts, famous conflicts. That doesn't say because of mother-in-law and daughter-in-law conflicts, you have to go apart. No, there is a good ways to handle.
Yes, as I said earlier, I'm repeating, unconsciously, mothers do this mistake because they can't let go their sons. They have that affection. Yes, God has given you a son to have until you give him in marriage. The day you give that son in marriage, you must be ready to let him go and get together with his wife and start the life. So then if you are not ready to send your son away from you to the new nest that they have made, you are doing injustice to their relationship.
And don't compare your daughter-in-law or son-in-law. I'm telling not only the mothers-in-law. Don't try to compare your daughter-in-law with the adjoining one or your previous daughter-in-law and say, if she's behaving like this, how nice she is, but this one is not like that. Sometimes we tend to do that. Then what will happen? There will be conflict. She may not speak to the mother-in-law again. So these things happen. And also, don't compare your ways and her ways in the housework, especially the ladies when they inside the house, the way they do, there can be conflicts as housework. She came from another family. You are here. When she start doing certain things, no, not this is the way. This is not the way. Do it this way. Sometimes you do it, you say it with anger or in wrong words. So you have to be careful. That can bring again conflicts between you. Also, there are other professionals or so many others around you. We are telling you, comparing in any form shouldn't be done to say that that one is better, this one is better, why can't you have it? No, never compare. That is damaging.
Yeah, everyone is unique. Try to see the good side of those people. Treat them alike and welcome them to your family.
Yes, son-in-law and daughter-in-law are our family. After they come, see that, show that, let them feel that they are your family. Treat and address your son-in-law or daughter-in-law like your son, like your daughter. I have a classic example. Diamali calls our two sons and also a daughter Puta. So when my daughter-in-law came to our family, she started even the daughter-in-law Puta. It was a bit of a surprise to her first, but she took it nicely, even up to date. She calls her Puta, and and also our son-in-law. He calls son-in-law also Puta. Puta, Puta, Puta. All we have all Putas. No, the ladies, but that has brought some closeness to our family. So everybody, I think you can address or let them feel that they are part of your family. That is very, very important. And also when you do things, inquire their ideas, because you are senior citizen or you are a big man, you are very mature. Don't do everything at home or outside, maybe some kind of transactions. Let them. Puta, how about if I invest little on this? They will love it. You have to take their opinion.
Yeah,
consult
sometimes
them.
they will have better ideas too.
So get them involved in your day-to-day work, garden work, housework, car work, in your office work. Get some, why don't you do this for me? It's very, very good if you can do it. This is how you build up the relationship of the family. They must feel free at your place or in other place. When you go there, they must feel free. They must never be strangers in your family. They are part of your family. So the big message is to all the in-laws is no one should come between the married couple because they are one. By any means, if you come in between, don't come in between, you can go alongside, not going in between. You have to you must discuss with them, you can have communication with them, do everything, but not to interfere, not to interfere in their personal matters. Now, see, I am giving you Pope Francis from the beginning, the day he came as the Pope, he is giving a very big priority to families. We are very proud, we are very happy as families. See this, what he said about a family, about the family. The perfect family, yes.
The perfect family doesn't exist. No, there is a perfect husband or a perfect wife. And let not talk about a perfect mother-in-law. It is just us sinners. According to him, all of us are sinners. All of us are having weaknesses. So let us go like this. If we learn to say we are sorry and ask forgiveness, the marriage will last.
This is the very big message from Pope Francis. Everywhere in marriages, if you have these two qualities, to say sorry, and if you are ready to forgive inside the marriage, to everybody, to in-laws, because in-laws, if in-laws in two sides, two sides in-laws, if you put together two big crowd, can make a very big family, happy family. But because of these differences and how you manage, how you handle these affairs, as I showed you earlier, if you do it in the wrong way, what will happen? It will it will affect the family. So family is one we have to keep together. As I said, family, the smallest unit of the society. If we can make it a very good one in the society, we can say we have contributed to make the society a good one.
Yes, all what you do today will be an example for your children tomorrow. So try to do the best to have a happy family.
So with that, I hope in the long run, have patience with love in the first place, have patience, listening, forgiveness, saying sorry will carry you in the correct way, even with the relationships with the in-laws. Keep that in mind. You can go a long way. Thank you very much.
And God bless
you.
Thank you, Asiri and Diamali, for all the insights on a very important and a pertinent topic. I think the key takeaways are, we are not perfect. We are all imperfect human beings. I think the key words that I noted was relationships, love, forgiveness, saying sorry, trusting God, and as married couples are unique. Married couples are unique, and we should not interfere. So those are the key takeaways from the talk. So thank you once again, Asiri and Diamali. And I take this opportunity to thank my colleagues in the family apostolate, Dr. Nilal and Errol, for all the hard work. And a big thank you also to all who joined and stayed with us during the course of this talk. We will continue to have these webinars on a monthly basis, and stay tuned for the WhatsApp flyers and the communications that are announced in the church. So thank you for the committee. A big thank you and a special mention to Reverend Father Anthony Fernaopulle for guiding us all the time, for leading the Family Apostolate Committee, and for being a supporter and empowering us all the time with all these webinars and talk. So stay tuned every month and have a good weekend, and God bless you all. Take care and stay safe.